I need to mount my gas pedal in the Roadster project. So this is just a universal hot rod. It's usually called the spoon type because it kind of looks like a spoon. They come with a cable. It's a cut to fit cable. So once everything's positioned, you can just shorten this to the length you need. And then on the end, it's just got a universal ball type fitting that'll work with a carburetor or TBI or whichever project you're working on. So the first thing I need to do is figure out where to mount my gas pedal on the Firewall. The easiest way to determine your pedal placement is, well, just sit in your car and get your foot in a comfortable position. So right about there is where I'd be comfortable. I've got the trans tunnel on this side. It's not too much clearance in these cars, but right there seems good. Decent range of motion. So I'll just set my pedal about where it's comfortable. And that should work right there. One tip I'll give you for when you're mounting a gas pedal, and this is in any car, is you don't want your gas pedal to line up with your brake pedal. And I'm going to need to move this brake pedal anyways. I'm going to cut that bracket and re-weld it, but if they're in line with each other, it's just not comfortable. If you look at any stock vehicle, the gas pedal is usually about 1 to 2 inches further in than the brake pedal. And that's so you don't accidentally push your brake and your gas at the same time while you're trying to accelerate. So if yours are close to being parallel, just try to offset the gas pedal back or the brake pedal forward just a little bit, and it's a lot more comfortable. I marked my top hole with my marker, so I'm going to go ahead and drill that, throw a bolt in, and then drill the bottom. This is the bulkhead fitting that the cable goes through. You can see the small cable just goes right through the center, so I just need to drill one hole for this, and then this goes into the Firewall. On our throttle body, we need to see how much range of motion we have to make sure our gas pedal doesn't hit the floor before this hits its stop. So we're going to go ahead and move this from closed throttle to wide open throttle. That's roughly 1.5 inches of movement right at this point where the cable's mounted. Just to give you an example of what would not be good is, let's say we set it up like this and we set everything to this point, you can't even push the gas pedal down. I know that's like an extreme example, but it just gives you an idea. This style is adjustable. It has a spline on it, and you can take the pedal off and you can move it. So we want to put our top bracket kind of parallel, and that way the pull is a little bit straighter. If you do it down here, you'll see the pull isn't straighter. It's more of an arc, which isn't going to pull the cable as much. So we'll start right about there. You have to remember I'm going to put soundproofing and carpeting on this, so I need to account for that thickness. So we'll start right about there, and that gives us about our 1.5 inches right there. And we can see our gas pedal has plenty of space. We're not going to hit anything. So we'll just go up to where our top point is going to be and mark a hole and drill it for the bulkhead fitting. On the engine side of the car, you can see we have plenty of cable length. For now, I'm just going to leave it long so we can finish our mock-up, and then we'll determine where we need to cut it, because I still need to make the bracket and everything in here. So we'll just feed our cable through the bulkhead fitting. And when you have a really short throttle cable run like this, it's always best to have some kind of a loop in it or a curve or something that can relieve the tension. If you try to do a straight shot and it's not that straight, you can have binding, which of course you don't want. On this end of the cable, they come with these little brackets and another bulkhead type fitting. So I'm going to come off of this stud, which is an original bracket for the throttle cable on this engine. And I'll need to make a bracket that comes up and probably like that. Make a little S-bend and see where we end up with that. Made this L-shaped bracket to hold my throttle cable. And this is just the first mock-up prototype. A lot of times you don't want to go just off one point, because when you're driving, this could pivot because it'll come loose after who knows how many miles. So I'll most likely have to tie into a second bolt down there and come up to this. But for now, this will get us testing. With the engine side basically ready, we can go on the inside and hook up the gas pedal. The connection to the gas pedal is just this small clevis type joint. It's got a set screw to hold the cable, so you'll just slide our cable through. Then we can adjust the position of our pedal. So pulling our cable tight, move the pedal up to where you want it. For now, I'll just leave this cable long to do all my testing, and then I'll shorten it later. Now we're ready to test out our range of motion. Notice the pedal's not returning as fast as it should, doesn't snap right back, so somewhere we have some binding. I'll have to take a look at that. Alright, I need you guys to keep an eye on this while I go hit the gas pedal, and we'll see if I hit our 1.5 inch range of motion. Just giving us an idea, we want to be right there when the gas pedal stops. Alright, did that look pretty good? Let's go ahead and start the engine and see what happens. Looks like everything's working. So I'll probably drive it around like this for a little bit just to kind of see if there's any improvements I need to make before I do all the final trimming. So if you're installing a universal throttle cable, those are the basic steps for it. Some of the parts for your car will be different, like this bracket and length of the cable, things like that. But that's the overall steps you want to take to install one of these.